When Miami holds the 6th seed in the AFC, and according to Number Fire, of all the 7 and 5 teams battling for the playoff spots in the AFC, Dolphins have the second best chance of making it, right behind the Chiefs. So, Stephen A., I'll ask you this. After what you saw last night, do you believe the Dolphins are a legitimate team, a legitimate threat, rather?
I think they're a legitimate threat because they can defend. They're physical. They will get up in you. Now, obviously, last night, that first half performance didn't help them much because it gives a lot of teams fodder to believe they can run on them. If you're the New England Patriots, you believe you can run on Miami. Yep. If you are the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens, you think you can run on Miami. If you are the Denver Broncos,
they did.
Ed Anderson, they did run on Miami. And so for me, when I look at it right now, obviously that doesn't bode well for them, but we didn't feel this way about Miami defensively until what we saw last night from the New York Jets. Prior to that, we were like, they're smash mouth, they're physical, they get up in you. We like this team. And Ryan Tannehill is coming along. Is he an elite quarterback? No. But he is better than what he has been. And with some of the other weapons, whether it's Wallace's Heartline or whomever, you've got to believe that Miami is a respectable team. The team that we saw go up against the Denver Broncos was legit. They looked far better in losing to the Denver Broncos than they did in beating the Jets last night. So I still believe in the Miami Dolphins to some degree. I still believe they can be a threat. Yet, I don't see them winning at Foxborough. I don't see them winning in the Mile High City.
No.
And so because of that, you're saying, yeah, you got to give them their respect, but are they really a difference maker where they're going to upend somebody? I wouldn't go that far.
So you do not have them at this moment in the playoffs?
I have them at this moment in the playoffs. I think that they could be a playoff team. I just don't think that they would go past the divisional round.
Okay. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I know that Trent Dilfer and Steve Young believe in Ryan Tannehill. They've studied a lot of tape. They always say his ceiling is high. I respect the heck out of that. I just don't see that. And I've told you, I watched a lot of him in college, and he always disappointed me in college, and he continues to similarly disappoint me in pro football. I know he has improved by little bits and pieces here and there. I thought at least it was big for his psyche and his confidence that he did pull off a quote-unquote comeback, albeit against the Jets last night, but he pulled it off, and I'm sure he feels a lot better about himself. I'm just not sold he's the long-term answer for the Miami Dolphins, and I'm not sure they're sold either because they've gone back and forth at various points earlier this year about whether they should even keep playing Ryan Tannehill. He's inconsistent, as he readily admitted after the game last night with our crew. Not a great deep thrower, not all that accurate. It comes and it goes. I don't think he has a great feel for the game, great touch, great sort of eyes for reading defense. I just don't see the package that I see in other quarterbacks. I don't know if long-term you're going to say he's going to grow into this guy, that he's going to be even a top 10 quarterback that you can hang your helmet on. You can say every year we have a shot to go deep in the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill. I'm sorry, I don't see that, even though he played pretty well last night, and he's had some other moments this year pretty well. But the defense is what is keeping them afloat right now because it's ranked 6th.
It is, Skip, but listen, all I'm going to say, and I'm not chiding you about this, I'm just asking, you know, to keep this in mind. We just finished having a discussion about Brian Hoyer. The guy's got 11 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Ryan Tannehill has 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and is completing 66% of his passes. So if we're going to sit there and talk about Ryan Tannehill in that regard.
We're talking about a playoff team here.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I'm just saying that, you know, when you...
Well, are you sold? We'll go on record. I'm on record. Well, I said before the draft, I'm not sold.
Yeah, but I've never been unsold. I've never been as down on him as you've been, and I respect it because you watched him in college and I did not. So I deferred to your position until I saw him play. Do I think he's a star? No. But I do think that he's good. I do think that he's had some pretty impressive moments. And I do think that the level of inconsistency that you're speaking to, his numbers aren't indicative of that. 20 and 9 don't knock your socks off, but they're considerably better than 11 and 10. 66% of his completion percentage is considerably better than a guy complete 51% of his passes. I'm simply saying that Ryan Tannehill, you know what Ryan Tannehill, the best way to put it, Skip, is? Remember when the Jets had the #1 defense and the #1 rushing attack, and Mark Sanchez was sort of a game manager. Ryan Tannehill is a little bit better than that. that guy from 2009 or so. You know, he's the kind of guy, he can make some plays. Is he going to do it consistently or at an elite level? Probably not. But he can make some plays, and he's impressive enough to be a starting quarterback. And if you got your defense playing that way, they could beat some teams.
Okay, but I didn't want this to turn into a Hoyer versus Tannehill debate.
Sure.
Because I'm not saying
That's fair.
Tannehill's
That's
much
fair.
better
That's fair.
than Brian Hoyer.
That's fair.
But both teams, if I'm not mistaken, do they have the same
record?
That's right.
Yeah, they're both 7-5.
So 7-5. So each quarterback can say, I'm 7-5.
Right.
Brian Hoyer can say, I'm 7-5. And I think he contributed mightily to 7-5.
All right, yeah, so do I. I think he contributed mightily to those 5 losses too.
Okay.
You know where I
so
look
did
at,
Ryan Tannehill.
Well, again, but I look at Miami, and some games they just didn't show up. They just didn't show up collectively.
Well,
collectively.
All right.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, let's leave it there. We will talk about this, obviously, later on in the season. We've got four more weeks, 4 more games. Who makes it? Who makes it? We don't know. But let's talk about, speaking of that number 4,